Hard times don't always come crashing in with thunder. Sometimes they arrive quietly, through a bank notification you didn't expect, a conversation that left you hollow, or the kind of silence that lingers after plans fall apart. And in those moments, worry doesn't knock, it moves in. It settles into your chest, your thoughts, your breath. That's why this video is called How to Worry Less in Hard Times. Because we're not here to pretend hard times don't come. We're here to talk about how not to let them take you with them. Worry feels like something you can't control. But what if that's not the full story? What if the way you respond to the storm matters more than the storm itself? In the next few minutes, you'll learn how to gently reclaim your peace without needing life to be perfect first. Through clear, practical Stoic principles, you'll discover that stillness isn't something far away. It's already in you. We're just going to help you get back to it. I invite you to subscribe if you find even one sentence that brings you clarity. And if this video reminds you of someone who's been quietly carrying too much, share it with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pass along peace. Finally, this isn't just a one-time listen. Come back. Let it ground you again. And if you face something similar, tell us your story in the comments. Your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. 1. It's not the world that breaks you, it's your mind. It usually begins at 3 a.m., not with a scream or an emergency, but with your own thoughts whispering louder than the night. Your body is safe, the house is still, nothing has happened, yet your mind is already racing, spinning a dozen worst-case scenarios. Your chest tightens, breath shortens, and in seconds, a simple moment of silence turns into internal chaos. That's when you realize the storm didn't come from outside. It started inside you. This is the truth many ignore. Life doesn't have to fall apart for you to feel broken. Often, it's not the situation that pulls you under. It's the stories your mind tells you about it. You're not facing a real enemy. You're wrestling with a voice in your head that speaks in the language of fear. This is the inner war Stoics warned us about. While the world outside may shake, it's the fracture within that defines whether you survive it or collapse. Imagine this. A firefighter once told me he'd seen people trapped in burning cars who were calmer than individuals sitting alone, spiraling in imagined fears. Why? Because fire is real, but anxiety is fire your own mind lights without warning. The Stoic way to deal with anxiety begins by recognizing this simple truth. Your thoughts are not always your allies. In fact, many of them are echoes, habitual patterns based on old wounds, insecurities, and rehearsed failures. They feel urgent, but they rarely hold true. The thought that says you're not enough isn't a prophecy. It's a broken record. And unless you become aware of it, it will keep playing louder than your own reason. In hard times, most people think they're being crushed by life. But take a closer look. 2 people lost their jobs. One spirals into helplessness, drowning in mental headlines like, "You'll never recover," "You've lost your value," "Everyone is watching you fail." The other takes a breath, feels the hit, and says, "It's not ideal, but I'll figure it out." Same situation, different internal reality. The difference isn't luck, it's mental peace techniques. The ability to challenge the thought before it becomes a belief. This is where calm mindset training becomes your shield. You see, the mind is like a screen. It can project horror films, but you don't have to watch them. You can look away. You can change the reel. You can remind yourself, not every thought deserves your belief. This is the beginning of emotional mastery. It doesn't mean silencing your fears. It means learning to see them for what they are. Clouds passing across the sky of your awareness. Some are stormy, some are light, but none define the sky itself. And the sky is you, your core, your breath, your clarity. In this practice of inner observation, you become less reactive and more sovereign. The power of inner stillness is not in denial, it's in discipline. The discipline to sit with discomfort without letting it spiral. The strength to say, "Yes, this is hard," and then still choose your next move calmly. This is not easy, but it is liberating. Because once you realize that the real battlefield is within, you stop wasting your energy trying to control what's outside. You begin to master what's always been yours, your attention, your breath, your presence. So when worry comes, and it will, don't ask, "How do I stop it forever?" Instead ask, "Can I be present enough to recognize it?" That question alone shifts you from being a prisoner of fear to an observer of it. And from that space you can choose: engage with the panic or return to your breath. React to the worst-case scenario or remain grounded in what's real. The more you practice this, the more your reactions lose their grip. That's when anxiety loses its power, because you stop feeding it. In the end, you can't always choose your circumstances, but you can train your mind not to sabotage you in them. You can teach yourself to pause, to breathe, to question your own catastrophizing voice. And when you do, something changes. You become the calm in your own storm. You stop waiting for life to be perfect before you find peace. You start building peace from within. One moment, one breath, one quiet decision at a time. That is how you worry less, even in hard times. And the more you return to this, the more unshakable you become. 2. Return to the present. That's where power lives. Your mind loves to time travel. It jumps ahead to worst-case scenarios, tries to predict outcomes, and builds catastrophes out of things that haven't happened. But peace, real, grounded peace, never follows it there. Peace lives only in the now. This is the quiet truth most people overlook. You might be sitting in your chair, coffee still warm, nothing urgent actually happening. Yet inside, you're already spiraling through emails you haven't answered, bills you haven't paid, arguments that haven't even happened. You feel like something is wrong, not because something is wrong, but because your mind is no longer where your body is. This is the source of most modern anxiety. Being physically present, but mentally absent. And the further you drift from this moment, the more powerless you feel. I remember walking with my father not long after he retired. I was checking my phone, half thinking about a client meeting the next day, half dreading an unfinished project. My father, slower in his steps now, stopped, pointed at a falling golden leaf spinning gently in the sunlight, and said, "You're missing it." I asked what he meant. He said, "The sky, the breeze, the color of the trees. I'm here. The world is here, but your eyes, there's no one behind them." That struck me, because he was right. I was living in a moment that didn't exist yet. Meanwhile, the one moment that was real, I was letting it slip. This is why Stoic practices for daily life begin with anchoring attention, not as a spiritual gimmick, but as a survival skill. Because when you lose the present, you lose your clarity. You lose your ability to choose your next response calmly. You lose control, not to the world, but to a version of your mind that keeps dragging you into future disasters that aren't even real. And the more you rehearse that mental script, the more it becomes your emotional truth. But it doesn't have to be. There is a way back. Think of your mind as a drone, powerful, capable, high-functioning. But if it flies off without guidance, it crashes hard. The controller is your breath, your senses, your awareness. Pull the drone back, not with force, but with gentle, focused intention. Listen. What sounds are around you? Feel. What does your body rest on? Breathe. How does the air move through your nose, your chest, and your ribs? In that pause, in that slow returning, you take your power back. The Stoics weren't concerned with abstract philosophy. They were warriors of reality. They knew that life would bring challenges, but the only place you can truly act is now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And where is your mind? Only ever in this breath, this step, this sentence. When it runs, let it run, but don't chase it. Invite it back. How to stop worrying about the future isn't about denying what could go wrong. It's about not dying in advance. The future doesn't need your worry, it needs your preparation. And preparation starts by showing up fully here. So when your thoughts spiral, what if the deal falls through? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not enough? Pause. Ask, is that happening right now? If the answer is no, come back. You don't need to solve the next 10 problems. Just take the next breath. This is how calm mindset training works. Not by promising you peace forever, but by giving you a tool to return to peace again and again. It trains your nervous system to stay steady in chaos. It teaches your heart that you are safe, even when life feels unstable. And most importantly, it gives you the strength to respond, not from panic, but from presence. The mind will always want to run, that's its nature. But you are not your thoughts. You are the one who watches. And when you practice returning, again and again, you build the muscle of presence. That is your true power. because it's only in this moment that you can listen, choose, act, and begin again. Everything else is just noise. Return here. That's where the noise ends and strength begins. 3. You can't control the storm, only how you stand in it. You've probably driven through a heavy storm at least once. Wipers struggling, vision blurred, hands tight on the wheel. The instinct is to freeze, to wait it out, to hope the clouds have mercy. But they don't. The weather never asks your permission. So you do what drivers learn to do: slow down, focus, keep going. Some even roll the window down, play a bit of jazz, and accept the rain as part of the journey. Life works the same way. The storms will come, disappointments, betrayals, things that break your plan without warning. But no matter how much you resist, you can't stop the rain. What you can control is how you move through it. One of my closest friends had his wife walk out on him during her cancer treatment. The timing was brutal. The emotional weight is almost paralyzing. When I asked him years later how he endured it, he said something I'll never forget. I couldn't stop her from leaving, but I could choose how I stepped forward from there. That sentence carries the essence of emotional strength, not in trying to manipulate the uncontrollable, but in mastering the one thing that's always yours, your response. The Stoics called this eudaimonia, the flourishing life, not built by bending the world, but by bending yourself inward, into alignment with reality. It starts with a hard truth. The desire to control everything is the root of suffering. You want people to behave a certain way. You want life to follow your schedule. You want outcomes to match your effort. But life is not obligated to meet your expectations. The tighter you grip, the more things slip. Trying to control everything around you is like holding water in your fist. The more pressure you apply, the faster it escapes. This doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring about the right things. Your inner discipline, not outer chaos. In moments of loss or failure, the reflex is to panic. You feel out of control, and your mind demands immediate answers. But that's the illusion. The belief that control equals safety. The Stoic knows better. Control isn't the goal. Inner calm is. When you can't change the outcome, change your posture. Stand with calm shoulders, a steady breath, and a presence that refuses to be owned by fear. This is what mental peace techniques are truly about. Not numbing your emotions, but regulating your reactions. Not avoiding storms, but training to remain still within them. The mind will tempt you to overreact, to blame, to try and force life back into your hands. But the reality is, chaos cannot be reasoned with. You don't negotiate with a thunderstorm. You adjust your pace, put on a jacket, and walk through it with awareness. And when it passes, as it always does, you'll be proud you didn't collapse under pressure. This is how emotional mastery habits are formed, not in theory, but in repetition. Every time you respond with clarity instead of fear, every time you remain grounded when you could have snapped, you build a version of yourself that's unshakable. So the next time life doesn't go your way, and it won't, pause before reacting. Ask yourself, is this moment asking for control, or is it asking for composure? Because control might be impossible, but composure is always a choice. And that's where power lives, in the way you breathe through the chaos, in the way you protect your energy when the world wants to pull it apart, in the way you move with intention, not emotion. Ultimately, storms will always test you, but they don't have to define you. What defines you is how you carry yourself through them. Calm is not weakness. It's what remains when strength is silent. And the more you practice standing still in the rain, the more you'll realize. You were never supposed to stop the storm. You were meant to outlast it. 4. Not everything deserves a reaction. You're at the cafe, waiting in line. Someone cuts in. No eye contact, no apology. A few seconds later, you overhear a dismissive comment, maybe about your clothes, your voice, or something you didn't even realize someone was watching. And before you know it, your heart rate spikes. Your mind gears up for a comeback. Your body prepares for war over something that doesn't even belong in your day. That's the trap. Modern life doesn't throw boulders. It throws pebbles, small moments of friction that chip away at your peace, not because they're massive, but because you give them full access to your energy. And you don't have to. Reacting to everything is like giving away pieces of your attention to things that don't pay you back. It's the fastest way to burn out your emotional reserves. Every time you let someone's pettiness decide your mood, you've given them power over your nervous system. But there's a different path, one that the Stoics walk daily. It's the art of restraint, not out of weakness, but out of control. I once watched a man at a grocery store get handed his receipt with a sigh and a clear look of disrespect. The cashier didn't look up. She tossed the paper like it was a burden. He smiled, took it, and said, "I hope your day gets better." No sarcasm, no ego, just clarity. I asked him outside if that bothered him. He replied, "I don't react based on someone's mood. I respond based on who I choose to be." That's a level of mastery that most people never reach. Not because they can't, but because they haven't practiced. Emotional mastery habits aren't made in life's calm moments. They're forged in moments like these, when your ego is provoked, when you feel small, when someone pushes just the right button. And in that moment, if you choose to breathe instead of react, if you choose silence over retaliation, you reclaim more than peace. You reclaim yourself. The Stoics believe that you're not disturbed by events, but by your interpretation of them. A comment is just a sound. A look is just a movement. It's what you assign to those actions that builds the emotional charge. And once you become aware of that power, you stop being a puppet to the world's noise. You become the one who decides what deserves your reaction, and most things don't. You don't need to correct every injustice. You don't need to win every encounter. Sometimes the highest form of strength is walking away without explaining yourself. Because explaining, defending, and retaliating, these are all forms of needing validation. And validation is not peace. Silence is. Imagine your mind as a still lake, a peaceful surface that reflects the sky. Now, imagine tossing a pebble into it. The ripple spreads, but if the lake is still, it fades quickly. But if the lake is already agitated, that same pebble causes chaos. Most people's minds are like agitated lakes. Overstimulated, overreactive, overstressed. That's why even small things set off storms. But when you train your mind through calm mindset training, daily Stoic practices, and moments of mindful breathing, you create stillness. And from that stillness comes power. You stop being dragged into every little drama. You begin to see how rare and sacred your focus really is. Not everything deserves a piece of it. So the next time something annoys you, a rude driver, a passive-aggressive text, a coworker's bad mood, pause. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy, or is it just noise? You'll find that most of it is just passing weather. You don't have to open an umbrella every time a cloud forms. You can observe. You can breathe. You can let it pass. And over time, you'll notice that people who used to trigger you now feel like background static. You don't absorb their chaos. You stay grounded in your own signal. That's the core of mental strength through silence. Learning to choose your battles, not out of fear, but out of principle. You become someone who doesn't flinch at shadows, who doesn't bleed for every bruise, who doesn't flail when the wind changes, and that's when life changes. Not because it got easier, but because you got clearer. You stopped reacting. You started deciding. And every silent victory added up to something no one could take from you. Inner command. That's what you're building now. One breath, one pause, one moment at a time. 5. Your worst days forged you. Someone once asked me, if you had the chance to erase the worst days of your life, would you take it? The answer surprised them. No, I wouldn't. Because those days, ones that broke me, the nights I couldn't sleep, the losses that left me hollow, were the days that carved out who I became. Pain didn't destroy me, it built me, piece by piece. And not in a poetic sense, but in a hard, gritty, unforgettable way. This is the truth the Stoics knew well. Adversity doesn't ruin you. It reveals you. The moments you think are setbacks are often the very fires that shape your core. You may not see it in the middle of the storm, but when it clears, you'll notice something new in your reflection. Not the same person. Someone stronger, quieter, clearer. I remember a close friend who lost everything. His business, his reputation, and the trust of people he once called brothers. Betrayed by a partner he thought he could rely on, he hit bottom fast, but he didn't stay there. He spent 5 years rebuilding, not chasing success, but rebuilding himself. His second company was smaller, quieter, but built with discipline and humility. I once asked him how he endured the fall. He said, "That fall taught me to walk with purpose instead of running with ego." That's what pain does when you let it teach you. It doesn't just scar you, it sharpens you. In Stoic philosophy, hardship is not a curse, it is raw material. Life throws you into fire not to burn you, but to forge you. Like steel, your strength comes from the pressure, the heat, the fold, the strike. No one grows in comfort. No one becomes resilient by coasting. It's the sleepless nights, the silent suffering, the quiet endurance that etches discipline into your bones. These aren't dramatic lessons, they are personal revolutions. They happen when no one's watching. They happen when you stand back up, not because you're healed, but because you decided not to stay down. The Stoics called this the alchemy of suffering, turning poison into medicine. It's not a metaphor, it's a mindset. Every betrayal teaches boundaries, every failure teaches patience, every grief teaches compassion, but only if you let it, only if you don't numb it away or resent it. Do you have to feel the full weight of the fall without letting it define you? You have to let the pain move through you like a river, not to drown you, but to wash away the parts of you that were never meant to last. That's how you emerge stronger. Not armored, not hard, but real. Fully aware of your strength, not because you shouted through life, but because you walked through hell without losing your soul. The world often tells you that healing means forgetting, but in reality, healing means remembering differently. You no longer flinch at the memory. You no longer shrink from the past. You look at it and say, that hurt, and I'm still here. That's inner peace. That's emotional resilience, not the absence of pain, but the refusal to be owned by it. You no longer fear falling because you've fallen before. And you know the ground doesn't kill you. In fact, the ground teaches you how to rise. When you look back on your life, it won't be the easy wins that define your growth. It will be the moments you were cracked open, the silence after a goodbye, the echo of failure in an empty room, the questions that had no answers. These are the chapters where your character was written, where you either gave in or stepped up. The Stoics would ask, what does this experience demand of you? And often the answer is courage. Not dramatic courage, but quiet, daily, disciplined strength. The kind that doesn't show up in applause, but in the way you carry yourself when no one else is cheering. So no, scars don't make you less. They make you real. They're not proof of weakness, but proof that you fought, that you learned, that you survived. The next time life hurts, and it will, don't ask to erase it. Ask to rise from it. Ask what it's carving in you. Because when the smoke clears, you'll realize the person you became wouldn't exist without the fire. And that makes every worst day worth remembering. Not because of the pain, but because of the person it built. 6. Faith is calm in the face of the unknown. There's a moment most people know well. You're standing at the edge of a decision, changing your job, walking away from someone you once loved, starting again from zero. And right when you think you're ready, your mind lights up with fear. 100 what-ifs flood your thoughts. What if this ruins everything? What if I fail? What if I'm not strong enough? The future stretches out like a hallway with no lights, and fear is the voice telling you to stay in the room you've outgrown. But what if fear isn't a warning, it's just a signal that you've never been here before? What if the unknown isn't something to run from, but a space waiting to meet a stronger version of you? Faith, in the Stoic sense, is not blind hope. It is grounded confidence. It's the quiet understanding that while you can't predict what happens next, you can trust yourself to face it. Maybe you're listening to this right now at night, exhausted, unsure, halfway convinced you can't keep going. But you're still here, still breathing, still reaching for something steadier. That means there's something in you, small, maybe, but unshaken, that hasn't given up. And that is faith, not a loud, perfect belief, but a soft, consistent willingness to move forward, even when the path disappears. Fear imagines, faith proceeds. Fear creates vivid movies in your head, full of worst-case endings. Faith doesn't need to know the ending, it just takes the next step. That's the difference. Fear demands certainty before action. Faith acts without certainty. Not recklessly, but with presence. You don't need the whole map, just the next step. When you take it, your inner world shifts, your nervous system settles, and slowly the fear loses its grip. You see, your brain is designed to protect you, but it often overreacts to uncertainty. It wants guarantees. But Stoic thinking trains you to accept that life comes with no such contracts. The only guarantee is this moment. this breath, this choice. And when you meet fear with action, not reaction, you start to rewire what your mind believes about uncertainty. You teach it that the unknown doesn't mean danger, it means opportunity. Think of walking through thick fog. You can't see the full road, but with every step forward, just enough reveals itself to keep moving. That's what faith feels like. You don't wait for the fog to clear. You move anyway, slowly, purposefully. And in that rhythm, calm begins to replace chaos. Not because you now control everything, but because you finally stop trying to. The Stoics believe that peace comes from aligning with nature, not resisting it. And nature is unpredictable. Seasons change, plans fall through, people leave, but still, life moves. And so can you. You don't need to eliminate fear to act. You need to stop letting fear dictate your direction. True calm isn't the absence of fear. It's your decision to walk beside it without letting it steer. That's what emotional mastery looks like. Choosing faith over paralysis, presence over prediction. So when life feels uncertain, and it will, remember this: you've been afraid before, and you're still here. That alone is evidence. Not that nothing bad will happen, but that you can handle it when it does. Your past strength is your proof, and every time you chose courage over comfort, presence over panic, you strengthened that proof. The more you return to that truth, the more unshakable you become. Faith is not loud. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need speeches, declarations, or guarantees. It lives quietly inside your next action, the text you send, the breath you take, the step you choose to make. And over time, those small choices stack into resilience, into composure, into a kind of strength that isn't shaken by what-ifs because it already survived them. In the end, fear will always knock, but you don't have to open the door. You can nod at it, then keep walking. Not with perfect confidence, but with steady presence. And as you walk, the fog thins, the mind stills, and the path ahead begins to make itself clear. Not because the future changed, but because you did. And that is the quiet power of faith. In hard times, it's easy to let fear, stress, and uncertainty take over. But you are not powerless. You are not your anxious thoughts. You are the calm beneath them, the strength behind each choice. When you return to the present, respond with emotional discipline, and let go of what you can't control, you begin to reclaim your peace. Stoic practices aren't abstract. They're daily habits that help you stay calm in chaos, build mental strength, and stop overthinking what hasn't even happened yet. Faith is not about blind optimism. It's about trusting your inner resilience, built from the struggles you've already survived. Every time you choose stillness over reaction, presence over panic, you train your mind to become emotionally unshakable. If this video helped you worry less, even just a little, share your experience in the comments below. Let others know how you faced tough moments and found clarity again. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Stoic tools to build inner peace, self-control, and daily strength. Because peace isn't found by avoiding storms, it's found by learning how to stand in the rain, calm, quiet, and unshaken.